My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the 2021 remake of West Side Story. And I watched the original one a few years ago. It's fine, it's got its charm, but it's way too long, and it's not my favorite movie. It's not one I'll probably ever revisit. But when I heard Steven Spielberg was remaking it, I was just like, well, I don't think that's needed either. But I heard great things, and months after its release, I finally watched it. And I'm very glad I did because this is one of my favorite movies of 2021. Let's begin talking about the performances. This movie stars Rachel Zegler and Ansel Elgort, who are both quite good in the movie. I do think that it took them a while to gain any sense of chemistry. The first encounter was a bit underwhelming, that it took me longer than I would have liked to get on board with their romance, but on the second half of the movie, I was more on board with it. I think this movie also has one of my favorite performances of 2021 in Mike Feist, who is absolutely fantastic and steals every single scene he's in. Just the amount of life and personality he gives with. He's just so charismatic and likable, and it's just a delightful performance that he was just exceptional at. Like, if I was in charge of the Oscars, he would win Best Supporting Actor, no doubt. Just a fantastic performance. Ariana DeBose is winning like every award, and I will say I don't think this performance is good enough to be sweeping every Best Supporting Actress award. But that said, she is really good in this movie, and I have no problem with it. And I also thought David Alvarez, I definitely mispronounced that. I thought he was really good in the movie too. I feel like that's one of the performances that nobody's talking about, but he deserves some recognition because he did impress me in this movie. But the best star of this movie, the biggest star, is of course Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is one of my favorite directors. He's pursued a movie in almost every single genre. You've got yourself a war movie, drama, sci-fi, comedy? Has he done a comedy? I actually don't think he's done a comedy. He's done adventure movies. He's done movies in almost every single genre, and now he can check musicals off that list. And how does he do with it? I feel like he is the thing that really elevates this movie. He brings this movie to life with such an infectious energy. He brings so much life and personality to this movie, and the cinematography is absolutely beautiful. This might be one of the best looking Spielberg movies, and that's saying a lot. The use of color throughout was absolutely wonderful, but I just loved the big sweeping camera movement. It just really brought something extra to this movie that it so desperately needed. And just the use of lights and shadows throughout is absolutely masterful. This is a guy who's been behind the camera for decades, and it shows in this movie. I don't think anyone else could have directed this movie the way he did. It's some of his best directing, at least since War of the Worlds. Because, yes, I just thought he was fantastic. And I even thought the dance choreography in this movie was really great. The songs in this movie are good. As far as I can remember, it's the exact same songs. I don't think they added any. And they're not songs I listen to in my spare time, but they are great songs in context of the movie. I did find this movie to be super charming and delightful, and it's just old-fashioned in the best of ways. Like, while I was watching this, I was just like, we don't get movies like this anymore. It feels like a movie that could have came out in the 60s or 70s. It's just got that charm to it. And it just brought a smile to my face for the majority of the movie. And that's something I was certainly not expecting. The story being told here is a classic story. Lovers on opposite sides. It's a really effective story, and there is some real emotion here. I do have some issues with this movie. I do think it takes a little bit to get going. It is very slow at first. And the last act of this movie is quite overlong. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. I feel like if you trim a half hour off this movie, it would just be perfect that way. My only other complaint is that there's moments where the characters are talking in their language and there's no subtitles. And I didn't like that decision. I don't think it worked for me. It's not in the movie too much, but whenever it was, I'm just like, well, why not just speak English here, or why not just have subtitles? Just pick one, please. Don't do this thing. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think it's got a great story with some great music. The performances are all great, especially Mike Feist. And Steven Spielberg brings it to life in such a pitch perfect way. Visually, it's incredible, and I just had a smile on my face for the majority of this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and give West Side Story 2021 a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen West Side Story 2021? I should stop calling it West Side Story 2021. You know what movie I'm talking about. But let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.